are modern books losing their mojo, their quality? What's happening? Discuss, please, because I don't know if it's just me, and it might very well be, but I have lost a great deal of interest in the titles being offered. To me, at least. So here's, like, as a book blogger, or having books be like a really big part of what you do, is that a lot of the publishing houses will basically have a list put together of books they're trying to promote or focus on in that quarter, the season, what have you, that month. It depends on the publisher. And they'll send you that list, and there'll be like little descriptions, and you can choose a certain number of titles from that bigger list to receive and review, which is cool and awesome. And I'm so glad that I'm on those lists. But lately I have been saying no to almost everything, which is weird. It's a weird feeling, but I've noticed just a huge shift in what is being offered, the tone of those books being offered, and they are so far away from what I am interested in, even the fiction, the nonfiction, all of it, that I just don't see the point. I don't see the point in reading them, reviewing them, because I feel like I already know what they're going to say, because they're all kind of the same narrative. And I thought I had to check my notebook because I had like a thought about why I think this is. And it was very tricky for me to articulate because it's something I've been noticing for probably half a year. But I don't know if this is just something like trickling down to the media finally, and this is just where we're at. But it seems to me that there's fewer stories, fiction and nonfiction, about the human experience, and more stories about, how do I put this? Like a struggle of a person. Obviously, all stories are about struggle at some point, but I think the defining difference is that these struggles seem to be resolved by either someone else changing, or the character or the protagonist wanting someone else to change, and that being the solution, when most literature is based on the exact opposite thing, which is that through adversity and hard times or whatever, the character or the person, if it's nonfiction, is forced to change in order to meet that battle. So I think that's the biggest difference I'm seeing, and it might sound like a small thing to some people, but I think it's huge. I think it's a huge difference. And to me, that flip is not at all based in reality, or at least not the reality I know. So there's no truth of the human experience in those stories and those narratives, because you can't wait for somebody else to change. And that's not a lesson that any of us have learned. It's a complaint. People can complain about it, about wanting someone else to change, but you cannot change anyone or anything, really, except you and your reaction to it. So it seems really like, I don't really know how we got here, but it seems really flipped, and I'm just not interested in that kind of story. I'm also posting a video about something culturally I noticed that has switched, because I think it's making its way into our media and our like books and entertainment like that. But I think it's kind of a strange suggestion to give people, because it's telling you that other people are going to change and that will be the source of your happiness. But life isn't like that. So I think it's really weird, and I think it's unappealing. Generally, I think one good example of this, I wish I could find this video. These things I should save, okay? But I was watching a video about horror movies, which happened to be one of my favorites, which is Aliens, the second one. Thank you. And about Ellen Ripley as a character. And just in case you're not familiar, Ellen Ripley is the goddess of my life, okay? But beyond that, she's a character in the Alien series. She's like the heroine. She's amazing. I love her. Go watch it. I can't explain the whole story to you. But the point is, the critic, the commentator on the video was talking about Ellen Ripley's story being a human experience instead of a female-only experience, and how that distinction was made Aliens, even though it had a female heroine, be so successful and so appealing to a wide variety of people, is because, not that it was made about what group she was a part of, but because she was a person dealing with really crazy stuff and how she came through that on the other side. It was a human thing and not a problem with like a group or because you're part of a group, because we can't change that. And how that made that movie and that franchise so successful because everyone could relate to her. It didn't matter what groups you were in or whatever. Boy, girl, didn't matter. So I think that's a really interesting distinction. I wish I could find that video for you. Honestly, I don't even know who did it. I'll look for it though. If I can find it, I'll put it in the notes. But I just think it's an interesting shift. It's sort of like a forced perspective to me. And I think all fiction, all story, the ones that last are based in truth. And truth can be hard and difficult and uncomfortable. But that's why we like it. That's why we read it, I think. It's like a mirror of ourselves. And even if it's really fantastical and crazy, there's still truth to it. Like Lord of the Rings is about hardship. I mean, that is crazy. You relate to that, to Frodo having to carry that thing in so many different ways, in so many different phases of your life. If you read that book, you'll feel that struggle about a million different things because it's a human struggle. Yeah. So I worry I'm going on too long, but that is a question I have for you. Obviously, I don't want to make a blanket thing and say that all modern books are garbage. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying there seems to be, at least from my perspective or what I'm seeing, a really big shift in how stories are portrayed or told. So really curious, or at least how they're marketed. That might be a better way to say it, because I think some books are being marketed in that way because they think maybe it sounds more appealing, but to me it sounds less appealing. So I'm curious if you're still interested in books that are coming out this year. Obviously, you're going to be interested in some of them, okay? But I'd be curious if it was more or less. Maybe this is just a me thing. I don't know. That's why I'm talking to you about it, honestly. Who else am I supposed to talk to you about this stuff? So let me know. So that's probably why you're not going to see that many modern stuff from me, because it's really like making my reading list go down. I'm just not that interested in most of the stuff, to be honest. So yeah, curious to hear your thoughts as always. Talk to you in the comments. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.